Hello and welcome to Business Reporter's Best of British Business campaign. What does a successful brand need? It needs a strong purpose, a clear and consistent voice, and something worth saying. Beyond the traditional electronic and print media, they can use Web 2 applications, social media platforms, programmatic advertising, and even the metaverse to find and engage with their audiences. But this abundance often fractures the story of many brands. Different teams manage different channels. They may follow different objectives and use different methods. As a result, they tell different stories, and finally, the brand loses its character, purpose, and point. If you're a marketer, advertiser, or a C-suite executive, you need everything to work together. How? Well, this is what we're going to discuss with the marketing and communication experts of Wunderman Thompson. Pip, Sid, Steve, welcome to Business Reporter's Best of British campaign. Now, you've just won the Best of British Business Award. Why do you think you won that award?
To win an award like that is because as an agency, we understand where brands are struggling more than most in a very complex now world that we live in. Brands may be losing sales, they may be finding it hard to attract new customers, they may be trying to launch new products. There are challenges. But as a business, we understand there is a lack of integration.
You say integration. Tell me what you mean by integration and why is it so important?
One of the reasons why it's so important is many decision makers think it's a really good idea to work with lots of different specialist agencies. One of the challenges with that, forget about how much that must cost them, is that each of these agencies will be giving their own particular, often quite idiosyncratic point of view on that brand. That means not only is the client, the decision maker, surrounded by all these agencies that are offering different points of view. It could be social media, it could be PR, it could be advertising, CRM, data, digital. The ultimate end consumer is going to be bombarded with lots of different expressions of that brand that is only going to confuse them. We refer to that confusion as fracturing, when brands have so many different mixed messages that leads to members of the public just being confused about what that brand stands for. So when we talk about integrated, we talk about finding a way to heal those fractures and create whole brands. For us, whole brands are more integrated brands.
Now hang on just 1 second. You're suggesting that you do everything, but some people might say, actually, I prefer having experts in certain areas of my business. Having that multitude of approaches and ideas is actually going to bring benefit to my business. What would you say to people who would suggest that?
It can be a really good thing to surround a brand with lots of different expert opinions. The damage occurs when those expert opinions aren't consistent. Consistency is absolutely critical. You need all of those brand experts to have a clear understanding of what that brand is at its very best and deliver that expression consistently wherever a brand is experienced.
The question is, how do you then convince marketers to adopt that whole brand approach? Because they, as you said, they're used to working in silos. So how do you get them to think differently?
Well, there's a couple of things. Firstly, there's all the evidence that suggests it's the right thing to do. Up to a third of a brand's sales can be increased simply as a result of more consistent thinking. And actually that brand's budget, the way that they spend their money, could be anything up to a 30% more effectively driven because of the way that that brand is pulled together in a more integrated way. That's one way. The second way is we have this thing that we call the whole brand blueprint, which is the way we open a client's eyes to where their brand fractures are. It's an audit that we do with the client where we work with their team and we identify where the inconsistencies are. Once we've identified where the brand is now, we then look at where the brand could be next in the future. What would it look like? What would it take for that brand to be more whole across all of their channels, across their earned media, their bought media, their shared media, their owned media? We bring all of that to be consistent to deliver this whole brand experience?
I like thinking of it as air traffic control, but it's actually very unusual for brands to be able to have sight visibility of all of the different metrics. But as an agency, we can provide that measurement. And I think more and more we're seeing a trend that chief marketing officers need to be going into the boardroom with results. They need to be able to measure sales, measure effectiveness. And that's what we're doing. We're giving this holistic view of marketing.
You talked about integration being really important. What does it actually mean as far as your agency is concerned?
Well, expertise, as Sid has talked about, is critical. You asked that question. Of course, you need expertise. So for us, it's critical we have that skill sets, all that trade craft, if you like, in-house. We have to have it under one roof, in one place, accessible, working together. Ideas generate sales. Ideas can make a real difference to brands and products and services in the marketplace. They kind of give them context. We're able to do that across so many, from the creation of the brand, but then how that kind of works across the digital touch points and the in real life experience.
Well, speaking of getting people talking, let's actually take a look at one of your clients.
We've been working with Wunderman Thompson for a number of years, and through that time we have seen the agency grow and expand to cover many more areas of marketing and advertising. That is incredibly helpful for us as a business and a brand. It means we get broader thinking, we get a much more diverse approach to the way that we want to take things to market, and we are able to think across different creative ideas and how they might show up in different formats. So whilst they can bring some iconic TV advertising, actually what we've seen over the course of the last 2 or 3 years is some incredibly powerful out of home, the ability to cross different media to really create standout creative, and the strategic thinking behind how we build our brand advertising to really support the brand strategy for HSBC. One of the things we want to achieve when we do any creative and advertising activity is talkability. We want people to take a step back, think, is that really HSBC? Or I didn't know HSBC did that, and stimulate a conversation. And I think the work that we've done with Wunderman Thompson, particularly the Vicious Circle work around services for those with no fixed address, and the recent work on safe spaces, have been incredibly powerful in the way that they have stimulated and expanded conversations and brought them into full focus.
If people started working with you, what would that experience be like?
We will get results. We understand brand problems, and we're very focused on that. It would be fun, but we would be focusing on where we could make the biggest impact. We would understand a brand's organisation, where fractures are, and be providing solutions through a mix of different talent and expertise.
And I think that in the process of doing that, to be completely honest with you, we'll tell some harsh truths. We'll tell where the brand is underperforming. That might be a bit of a wake-up call. It might be a bit uncomfortable, but we think that's really important, because the only way to get genuine success is to realise where some of those problems are, some of those failings are, and see if we can work together collaboratively to solve them.
And also, I mean, to that point, we do work with brands in many different ways, and collaboration is key. Honesty and transparency, but quite often in a relationship we will put people inside brands, so inside our clients' businesses, so that they can learn, advise, but also upskill brands as well, so everybody is evolving at pace.
So that's the here and now where you are. What about the future for Wunderman Thompson? Where do you see yourselves in the future?
I'm really excited about the future. I think the future is complex, but complex in a positive way. I mean, we know that there are so many different marketing channels, marketing messages, new audiences emerging, but all of those problems around, we've still got to sell products, we've still got to help brands grow. The world will be very different in 5 years' time, again, through new emerging markets and technologies.
Yeah, I just don't think there's ever been a better time to be a creative person, a creative agency. Just the different ways that we can communicate with our customers, it's incredible, and it's a brilliant challenge to have when you come into work every day, to kind of be able to have ideas that can connect a brand and a service and a product to consumers in all of these different touch points.
Increasingly, we're working with clients and recognising that actually we live in quite a fractured society. And is there an opportunity for brands to make society feel a little bit more whole again? So in addition to what we've talked about, creating consistency, creating distinction, creating big ideas that get talked about, giving that brand a sense of purpose, giving it a sense of clarity so it delivers something meaningful, something worthwhile to our society. That's what we're doing more and more of. That's what I think we're going to have to do a lot more of in the future, and that makes it a very exciting place to be.
That was Pip Hulbert, Sid McGrath and Steve Aldridge of Wunderman Thompson.